Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Cryptonews weekly roundup. Guys, I am completely out to lunch today. My apologies. I flew in from Dubai this morning, 15-hour flight. I left at 1:30 a.m. and landed at 8 a.m. So I'm very jet lagged. So if my eyes look a little messed, then you could probably sit in the bags under my eyes. My apologies, but we are battling. Also, Rachel and I matching, just team match today. Team white tea gang. We love to see it. Rachel, that looks like a beautiful background. How are you this lovely morning?
Thanks, Matt. I am doing well. I am here in the Bay Area, and the weather has actually been surprisingly nice. And I'm excited to talk about the crypto news this week.
Let's do it. Jumping in, guys. Last week we said we want some green on the board. We had FOMC this week. Turned out to be a good one, and literally the board is completely green, which we absolutely love to see. Everything is up, give or take 3 to 6% on the week, with the exception of a couple rippers. Bitcoin's at 117.6 per BTC. Ethereum's at 4.6K per ETH. BNB is almost at that huge psychological 1,000 mark per BNB. Solana's at 252, up 10 ticks on the week. Hyperliquid, new all-time high of 59. Shout out Jeff and the Hype team. And the biggest gainer of the week, AVAX, up 17%, coming out of nowhere to 33.82 per AVAX. Pretty wild week, Rachel. A lot of actually pretty important news, and a wild week through and through. But the biggest piece of news this week, the FOMC, we sort of thought it was priced in. Turned out it was, but it wasn't. 25 BIP Fed cut, and we are off the races. We're absolutely ripping.
Yeah, Matt. So this is probably the most interesting news of the week. So the futures market had already priced in a 25 BIP Fed cut with 96% odds, leaving traders to frame the move as a classic buy the rumor, sell the news. The global crypto market cap rose 2% to 4.2 billion on Thursday, lifted by Bitcoin's already climbed towards 118,000 after the Fed delivered its first interest rate cut of the year. Gains were measured, however, as investors weighed the central bank's cautious tone on future policy moves. So we've got to see what happens next. Happy to see Bitcoin up, though.
100%. I do think we're going to get another rate cut this year, which should be floodgates open. This is a really weird piece of news. Everyone sort of thought this was happening. I do own Coinbase shares. I got in early on IPO and snagged some more when it dipped. However, Base is now exploring a network token. Base is Ethereum's layer 2 network, incubated by, of course, the one and only Coinbase. Basecamp 2025 Base creator Jesse Pollack, sort of like the poster boy, said that they are exploring the launch of a network token, marking a huge reversal from Coinbase's long-held position that no token was planned. This is super weird, guys. I really don't know how to feel about this. Again, if you own Coinbase stock, do you get blessed for that? Are they going to airdrop you? How would you airdrop people who own the stock? I don't know how this is all going to work. I actually think this is a terrible PR. Really interesting to see how this plays out, but a huge piece of news this week. Speaking of huge news, prediction markets continue to go absolutely parabolic, and Polymarket just snagged a $10 billion valuation.
Yeah, Matt. So Polymarket is planning a U.S. return and seeking a valuation of up to $10 billion. The platform gained traction after accurately predicting Trump's 2024 victory, but faced regulatory setbacks. With CFTC clearance and rising competition from Kalshi, Polymarket is re-entering a heated prediction market race. We'll have to see what happens next.
Speaking of prediction markets, Kalshi is in the news. Huge fine coming Kalshi's way. The Massachusetts Attorney General Andrea Joy Campbell filed a lawsuit against prediction markets platform Kalshi, allegedly stating that the company operates unlicensed sports betting disguised as event contracts in volatile state of gambling laws. Again, huge violation here. The lawsuit filed in Suffolk. My apologies to the folks of Suffolk. I don't know how to say that. Rachel, you're American. Perhaps you do. But the Suffolk Superior Court claims Kalshi processed over $1 billion in sports wagers from 3.4 million bets between January and June of 2025. The issue here is that, of course, sports gambling is state by state, and Kalshi just has a blanket right now where they can move and groove in every single state. So pretty wild stuff, and the hammer will probably come down. Geez, more crazy news here. Tether shakes up the stablecoin market. And Rachel, you and I did call this, I want to say it was 2 months ago, when we dropped the Bo Hines news and said there must be a reason why he went to Tether. Now we have this reason.
Definitely, Matt. So the stablecoin market is obviously heating up, and Tether, the company behind the world's most widely used stablecoin, has announced plans to launch USAT, a US regulated dollar backed token to strengthen the role of the US dollar in digital markets. Alongside the unveiling, Tether named Bo Hines, the former executive director of the White House Crypto Council, as the incoming CEO of Tether USAT. The move shows that what Tether calls the next chapter in its strategy, combining compliance, transparency, and American leadership. USAT will be delegated to comply with the recently enacted Genius Act, the landmark legislation governing stablecoin issuance in the United States.
Well said, Rachel. And probably the biggest, at least, news on Crypto X, Crypto Twitter last week was it was Hyperliquid and only Hyperliquid. Obviously, we had the Charlie Kirk stuff, which was very unfortunate. But on the crypto side of things, it was all about Hyperliquid and the stablecoin news, the stablecoin competition. Native Markets won the USDH stablecoin bid for Hyperliquid, defeating Paxos and other rivals. Paxos failed to gain traction despite a revised proposal offering a deep PayPal integration, incentives, and capped revenue share. Native Markets plans a phased USDH rollout backed by validator support and a reserve strategy involving BlackRock and Superstate. Shout out Max Feege, who's run the show over at Native Markets. This was massive. And the Hyperliquid news does not stop this week as they got the second biggest bad boy in the stablecoin market on the block, and they are moving full throttle into Hyperliquid.
Yeah, Matt. So by investing in Hype and considering validator status, Circle aligns incentives with Hyperliquid's growth, positioning USDC as the default settlement layer on a venue now handling a sizable slice of crypto volume. Circle is the issuer of USD coin, also known as USDC, and it's expanded its presence in decentralized finance by investing directly in Hyperliquid's ecosystem, making it the first stake in Hype tokens. The move comes alongside the official launch of native USDC and the cross-chain transfer protocol V2 on Hyperliquid, positioning the stablecoin at the center of one of DeFi's fastest growing platforms.
Pretty wild stuff here. Speaking of perps, CZ has been pretty silent for a while. He is back and he's coming with a vengeance. I like the Binance team, but Binance does have a history of some on-chain crime, and it seems like they may be at it again. Again, I'm reiterating what we've seen on the Twitter sphere. CZ has thrown his weight and Binance's weight behind a new decentralized perp exchange called Aster, which is already making waves in the market. Within 6 hours of going live, Aster's token reached over a $300 million market cap after rising from a launch price of 8 cents to a high of 21 cents. This was at the time of writing the article. Rachel, right now, I think it's already at 64 cents. I saw this before I jumped on my flight last night. I took a quick snooze on the plane and then woke up to do work, saw it again at around 40 cents and said, nah, it's got to go down. And of course, it didn't go down. Now it's at 64 cents. Should have hammered some, didn't. But investors are absolutely printing on this, and there is really not a whole lot of volume or anything on this as well. But when Binance puts their weight behind something, you do not fade CZ and the Binance team. Do take a look at Aster. Not saying it's a good investment, but it will definitely be volatile, and there will be some crazy price action. Moving forward in the DAT space, I think we have a new big bad boy in the Solana DAT space. Forward Industries, $4 billion ATM coming in hot.
Yeah, Matt. So Forward Industries, a NASDAQ-listed company that has shifted its focus from medical design to digital assets, has filed for a $4 billion at-the-market equity program with the U.S. SEC. According to the announcement submitted on September 17th, the offering would allow the company to sell shares flexibly through Cantor Fitzgerald and Company to raise capital for its Solana-focused strategy, working capital, and future business expansion.
That is a huge ATM. Wild news there, and pretty crazy stuff. Moving forward, SEC approves Grayscale's multi-crypto fund amid broader ETF push. Pretty wild stuff here as they are approving the fund called Grayscale's Digital Large Cap Fund, making it the first multi-crypto ETP product to hit the market. Again, this signals a broader shift in regulatory momentum. Grayscale CEO Peter Mintzberg approved the approval on Wednesday via X, thanking the SEC's crypto task force for helping bring the long-awaited clarity to the crypto space. GDLC offers investors diversified exposure into 5 major cryptocurrencies: Bitcoin, Ether, XRP, Solana, and Cardano. Pretty interesting stuff here. I still don't know why everyone wants exposure to XRP and Cardano, but if you do, I mean, kudos. But I would probably put some other ones in there if I was in charge. But then again, I'm not in charge of Grayscale, probably for that reason why. Rachel, last piece of news on the week. Regulatory clarity could drive 40% of Americans to adopt DeFi protocols, and this would truly, truly open up the floodgates for crypto x TradFi.
Yeah, Matt. So ending the news of the week on a positive note, over 40% of Americans expressed willingness to use DeFi protocols once regulatory clarity on crypto privacy emerges. This is according to a recent survey from crypto advocacy organization, the DeFi Education Fund. The survey, which was released on September 18th, revealed that many Americans feel frustrated with traditional finance and seek greater control over their financial assets and data. This is great news. Can't see what happens with this and if it's an actual correct prediction.
Love it. Rachel, always a pleasure doing this with you. White Tea Gang this week, not planned. Next week, maybe we'll be rocking the same stuff again. Guys, we hope you enjoyed this one. As always, my apologies. I was a little slow today. I am beyond tired and jet lagged like there is no tomorrow, but I will have a couple more coffees and I will continue to battle. Rachel, always a pleasure. Listeners, always a pleasure. Please hammer that like button, hammer the subscribe button. We'll be back next week. Hopefully we have some more green on the board. Hopefully we have some more great news to share with you guys. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and we will see you on the next one.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, everyone. See you next week.